Okay, good morning again, ladies and gentlemen, and an extremely warm welcome to you all to this ethics conference that you signed up to. So, I think if you look at the delegate list and see so many different faculties and professional disciplines and academic disciplines represented, it just shows you what importance this university and its members place on research ethics. In addition to members of the University of Sheffield, I'd like to extend a particularly warm welcome to colleagues from Sheffield Hallam University who have also joined us today. So, of course, the process of ensuring good research ethics as part of good research practice, these are well established, and they are based around the principles of common decency, respect for individuals and populations, and more and more common sense. However, in this rapidly changing, as described in the title, digital world that we now live in, we face new challenges in all aspects of our lives, including research ethics. And this is the underlying theme of the conference today. I'm delighted that our Vice-Chancellor has agreed to open the conference today. And without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Professor Burnett.
Thank you. Is this the right microphone?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thanks so much for inviting me to open this conference. It is a very important event, and one which I'm conscious that people take both seriously, but also put a lot of their hearts into it, because they care about the issues we're going to talk about today. And it's really at the heart, I think it's the heart of what scholarship means really in this modern world. That we talk about our research, we talk about its importance in teaching, we talk about its importance in other people's lives, we talk about it in planning, in advising government, in the sort of myriad forms of people's lives in health, wealth, and all the things that are to do with the modern world. And with it, I think that we're aware. I think I particularly found the thing that I was shocked at actually in an early career was how much impact knowledge and research has on people's lives. Maybe not immediately, but as it flows into different parts of policy and people do things, the way they invest, the way they build, the way they look after people, it really is a powerful influence, knowledge. But if you are doing that, and you are a researcher, and you're actually working on aspects that are important to such a myriad aspects of society, life, and the world, and you can pick out, you don't have to look very far to see examples of things that influence people's daily lives. I was thinking the other day, I get the media feed, from Sheffield University and all the things that are going on. It's very rarely you won't see something in it which impinges quite directly on you, your family, your community, whatever it is, and that's wonderful. But then because of that, there is a very big duty, isn't there? Once you start to see that and see the impact that you as individual researchers or teams of researchers or as doctors or as librarians, whatever, you start to see that you have a duty. You have a duty to think about, reflect on what you do. And I think that the thing that can happen is that can get very quickly locked up. Because we can't be perfect in the things we do. We can't be absolutely perfect. But we do want to feel good about the way we look into the ethics related to the work we do. We want to think we've done the proper amount, the balance thing, the thing that it is a burden on ourselves and our communities, but we've done it the right amount. We've used common sense. We've tried to balance it with our experience of the real world and things of that sort. And really that's why I'm so absolutely proud of the UREC committee, because it's had to handle an enormous amount of things. If you look at just the list of issues it's had to think about, work on, it's been enormous. And this is not just the researchers, it's got to do with the people organising the department, it's got to be people looking at the information they get, how it's published, how it's disseminated, things of that sort. And so I'm really delighted to welcome you here. I want to add my welcome to members of our sister university, Sheffield Hallam, and also we've got some fantastic speakers from the Open University and from the University of Malta and Groningen. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to do that. I suppose I want to say, as head of the institution, that the things you say are important, will be listened to, reflected on, because that's the spirit on which the committee works here. That's the way in which it's done. We're very lucky to have you as chair. But of course you're going to get a talk as well from Richard Jenkins, Professor Richard Jenkins. I don't know where Richard is, but he's chaired the committee for a good long time, and I know from my interactions with him when he was doing that task how big a deal it was, how seriously he took it, and how he got again that balance between serious reflection, common sense how to do it, and that sense of duty. So I just want to first of all say thank you for coming to this meeting. Congratulations for 10 years of committee, and really wish you all the best for this work which is so important to us, but also I think as people look into us more and more to society and the expectations they have it. So congratulations again everyone, and have a great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Burnett. Okay, so one of the problems with, as perceived about research ethics, is the bureaucratic nature that it potentially gives the impression of. And we're going to start today with one of our most recent attempts to try and improve and streamline the ethics review process within the University of Sheffield. And I'm delighted to introduce Peter Bath, who's Deputy Chair of the UREC, who also is from Information School and has led on this, what we feel is going to be a very important development, which I hope will make everybody's lives easier and actually improve the quality of research ethics even from the state that we have now. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Chris, for that introduction. As Chris said, and the Vice-Chancellor said, that we've had 10 years now of the University's research ethics policy. And I just want to give you a bit of news, really, and an introduction to the new online ethics review system that's been developed over the last year to 12 months. And that's something I've been working on with members of the Research and Innovation Services, Peggy Horton in particular, but also Nicola Donkin and Lindsay Unwin, also from the Research and Innovation Services. So just to give you some background to this, as we've already said, that the University's Research Ethics Policy and the Research Ethics Committee was set up in 2004. And what this said and why it's so important is that it requires all researchers and people working in the university, including those in professional services, to have an ethics review of any research that involves humans as participants in that, their tissue or their data. And this has meant that over the last 10 years there's been a large number of ethics reviews that have gone through the processes within the university. And each year all the departments in the university and professional services have to give an annual report to the university's Research Ethics Committee on the numbers and types of ethics applications that have gone through the system in that time. And so when the ethics policy was first introduced, RIS, in conjunction with the University's Research Ethics Committee, set up paper-based systems that could be accessed centrally from departments across the university for departments to use using the sort of templates and forms that RIS set up on the web. Now, the whole ethos of the university's research ethics policy has that the policy has been devolved down and delegated to a departmental level. So it's individual departments and heads of departments that are responsible for ensuring that the research that goes on in those departments has received the appropriate ethics review, which is why there's the annual report that goes through to the University Research Ethics Committee from all the departments. And one thing that we've noticed over the last 10 years or so, that there's been a year-on-year increase in the number of ethics applications that have been submitted to departments. And with this increase in the numbers, there's been an increasing workload, and so it's become clear to us that we need to try and streamline the processes for the ethics review as much as possible to facilitate the processes across departments, as well as for individual researchers and for the administrators dealing with these. So over the last 12 to 18 months or so within the UREC, we've had discussions and a number of proposals put forward for developing an online system that all departments could access. And this was agreed at a UREC committee towards the latter end of the 2012-2013 academic year. And we went into discussions with Epigenesis, who are the spin-off company from the university, who do a lot of work developing information systems and computer-based systems for staff across the university. And they've been developing the online system and been working very close with members of UREC and with RIS in ensuring that the developed system is fit for purpose. And to this end, we set up a user group with representatives from academic departments across the university back in the summer of 2013. And we've had a number of meetings throughout the development of the system between Epigenesis, UREC, and users of this represented on this user group. And those have been very useful for discussions of what departments wanted from the system and in giving feedback to Epigenesis for improvements that could be made. So we've had an ongoing consultation and feedback process since last summer, and that's ongoing. And I'll tell you a bit more about that as I go through the talk. And as I say, we've used this feedback to make further developments to the system and improve it. So some of the functionality that we wanted to ensure was in the system was that the data that was input into it was that everyone who needed to use the ethics application system within the university, whether they were applicants themselves, which could be researchers or students undertaking research within the university, the reviewers as well, and the administrators all had access to the system and could use it in a streamlined process. And so the system that's been developed allows applicants to include everything that they need to, all the details for the ethics review, and all the comments can be fed back to the applicants in one system. And so the system that Epigenesis have developed manages all those documents. So as you're putting in an ethics application, you upload the things like the information sheet and the consent forms to that system, and that can all be viewed by the reviewers and by the administrators right throughout the process. And so all that information is there on the system, and there's a record kept of each stage of the application, from when somebody puts their application in, to when it's administered within the department, to when the reviewer receives it, and when they undertake their review, to it going back then to the applicants. So there's a complete record of that. And what's particularly useful as well is that it stores all that information and collates the information for the annual reports. So the data is very strongly secured on the university file server within the university system, and that's accessible to people from RIS as well as to the individual ethics administrators within the departments. And we've got a web page system which I'll show you towards the end of my talk for accessing that. And there's a lot of information provided on the online system about how to input the forms, so that not only just about use of the electronic system, but also about the ethics review process as well, and what sort of information is required. So that help system is aimed not only at people applying for it, but it's aimed at research supervisors who will have to approve applications from their students before it goes to the administrator, the ethics administrators themselves, as well as the reviewers. So there's a lot of support there on the web system for people to use. And as I say, the data that's put into that can then easily be downloaded by Research and Innovation Services for the annual report. So what that does is to remove a lot of the burden of the administration of the annual reports from the ethics administrators within departments. So we've been undertaking a pilot phase which started in December, just before Christmas in 2013. And we had 5 departments in that initial pilot phase, from the Information School, Education, Law, SHA, and the School of Languages and Culture. And we approached these departments and asked them if they'd like to be part of it, because they represent departments that have quite a high turnover of ethics applications each year. So we thought we'd get a good level of feedback from them within the pilot phase of the study. And overall, the feedback has been very positive from departments. They've been very enthusiastic about it, and have talked about how useful it is for them, for making it easier for them to administer and to use the ethics application system. And we've used the feedback from those departments to fine-tune the system. And I'll show you some of the developments that we've undertaken as a result of that feedback. And now what we're doing, we're going into a rollout phase across the rest of the university with that. So some of the improvements that have been made is one of the things, the feedback we got quite early on was that when applicants are putting information into the system, if they go away from their computer and leave it, then if they haven't completed a page, they get timed out within that. So we've built in additional time for people to add information onto each page within the site. We've also added option for applicants to show if they are undertaking a research project in collaboration with another department, and it's going to go through that department's ethics review process. they can indicate on the system that it's going to be reviewed by that department, so that it will go to that department rather than their home department. And also it enables a number of departments in the university, rather than having individual review, have ethics review by committee. This is something that SHAR does, which mirrors the NHS review system. And so we've got an option now for departments to have it reviewed by committee rather than by individual members. We've also had sometimes when ethics reviewers are appointed to review an ethics application, for some reason that they're not able to do that, or they have to go away, or they're ill. And so we've got an option now where people can be replaced as the ethics reviewer by the ethics administrator within the department. And that automatically sends an email both to the old reviewer to tell them that they're not required now and that they're released from that, and also to the new ethics reviewer that they're asking them to do the review. We've also got a prompt reviewer button, so that a reminder email can be sent to reviewers after the deadline for which the ethics review is required. And there's also further web pages with more information being added to that to enable people to use it more easily. So where we're at the moment with this, that we've 16 departments now using the system, representing 4 faculties across the university. And I've listed those up on the department there, the additional 11 departments. And the stage we're at the moment is that 7 of those departments have actually seen applications through the whole review process. And I'll say that the feedback on that's been very positive, and the feedback we're using as well to continually develop the system. But effectively now we've moved on from the pilot phase, because it is a live system and it's being used by more and more departments, and we're actually encouraging all the departments now across the university to start using it. We're so pleased with the steps that have been made and the improvements that have been made since December that Epigenesis are keen for it to be used by more and more people, so that if there is any feedback to be done, we can do that at an earlier stage. So what the next steps are is to make further improvements as we get back feedback from departments. And as I say, we're welcoming and encouraging more and more departments to use the system, and we're rolling it out across the university. And if anyone has heard from departments within the university that would like to use it, please contact Peggy, who is at the back, I think somewhere over there, and she'd be very pleased to set you up your department for that, and her email address is on the system there. And we've got a demonstration of the ethics review system in one of the sessions early this afternoon, straight after lunch. And we've got quite a few people signed up for that, but we'd welcome any more people who want to join that group to see how it operates and see how straightforward it is to use. And as I say, we're rolling this out across the university throughout the rest of this academic year, so that we hope by the end of the academic year, or the start of next academic year, all departments will be using it.